you started writing poetry already. Talk on the culture shock, right? Okay. So I do hope that I can operate this thing. So because you know when it was announced that we'll have different age groups presenting today, this is me, a different age group, right? And I'm definitely not technically advanced. Actually, I'm pulling your leg now. But anyway, so I will talk about the thing which is very important, especially for travelers. And I believe that all of you have been somewhere abroad. Haven't you? No, not yet. You should not say no, you should say not yet. Okay, you're planning to. But we do have students from other countries here, so and probably they will find something what I'm talking about being reasonable for them. So anyway, so culture shock or mind the gap. What gap do you think I mean? Come on. Not generation gap, definitely. I said about it already, so yes. Come on. Louder, louder, Regina, louder. No, just gap, like what do you understand by this? Mind the gap. Quick, short, okay? Keep it short. So, okay, I can continue, thank you, Regina. So, anyway, this phrase, mind the gap, I saw in some metros. In Beijing, in London, and I don't remember where, so maybe in, well, some other places. And it was usually just a technical term, like mind the gap, because you step on the platform and there is a gap between the carriage and the platform, so don't fall in. But I was thinking that actually, that what Regina started talking, but I'm stealing her words because I know her mind, gap between the cultures, that's true. Because if you suddenly are taken out from the culture you have been born with, you have been living there, and you are placed into some very different environment. Okay, oh, it's working, yeah. Right, so what is it? Like, first of all, on this slide, you can see the name of the American psychologist and researcher who developed this term, or coined this term, right, culture shock. And you see, soon we're going to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the term. And before that, as in many things in our life, before we have read about them, we were not aware about them, right? You were feeling something, you were experiencing something, but you didn't know it was a culture shock. I'm going to be more detailed about that. So usually it is the anxiety, sorry, so something is wrong with the microphone, or me. So the anxiety which results from losing all our familiar signs and symbols of social intercourse. Those students who come here from different parts of the world, they probably might agree with me here, right? Like you come here to Russia, everybody speaks Russian, and you feel kind of lost, right? Like what are they talking about? So they're talking, their language is so different, so it seems that they're quarreling all the time because intonation patterns are different, right? And so on. So anyway, usually they also call the culture shock, it's the conflict or clash between two sets of values, two sets of social norms, old ones and new ones. Old ones, these are the norms of your country of origin. New ones, the norms of the country where you are now. So, these are the stages which a person usually goes through when a person moves to a different country. And of course, it must be mentioned that it needs a longer period of time to experience all of this. Because if you come to a country just for 2 weeks, for example, you probably wouldn't be aware of that at all. If it is longer, you definitely would feel it. So in the first stage is honeymoon, then comes rejection, then acceptance, adaptation, and then reverse cultural shock. Now I'm going to speak about each stage in more detail. First, honeymoon. So it seems to me that our friend from London is definitely in this stage. Because like we were living in this city for a lot of years and we were talking with our colleagues, oh my God, he calls PetrSU beautiful. He loves the weather, so on. And I said like, it's honeymoon stage, right? What is a honeymoon stage? Everybody knows in a relationship, honeymoon is something really pleasant, everybody is good and nice and you like everything. That's exactly what it is, like you like absolutely everything. Oh, new food, yes, yes, great, right. No place in the bus, I have to push into, yeah, wonderful, I have never experienced that. Right, what, borscht, what is that cabbage about? Yeah, that's wonderful, I want to try new things, right? Okay, so you are like 4E period, having excited, euphoric, energetic, and enthusiastic. You want to explore, you want to experience new things, so everything is totally fine. And you feel special. Because everybody who says, oh, are you from London? Are you from Jordan? Oh my God. Like, and everybody is happy to meet you, to shake hands. Let's go come over to have coffee and to talk and so on. And you feel, yeah, I am the celebrity there. So coming back from your country, like for example, when I was the first time in America and coming from PetrSU, where nobody knows where it is, like in the middle of nowhere actually, for many people. As I once had to explain to one farmer in Vermont, where is PetrSU and where is Karelia? So I had finally to figure out the following thing. You know, it is northeast from your farm. And he said, okay, that makes sense, because otherwise he didn't know about St. Petersburg, he didn't know about Russia almost, and nothing else. Like, okay, so that was the best explanation. But I felt special, like a lady from Russia is coming, and questions about communism, about Putin, about, well, bears, of course, and whatever. So, and this is it, like this is what you experience, to learn as much as possible. But as in any relationship, what exactly Lisa was speaking about, there comes a period when everything is good, but not everything is good, right? Like you started noticing some things and you don't feel as you used to, and you start missing home. I have chosen these two funny pictures just to demonstrate like how you can be missing home, right? And what to do. So home is alone. And what is happening at this stage? Missing home, being far away from people, from friends, you start having problems with communication. And it doesn't matter that you can speak language very well even. So you still feel kind of at a loss because you don't want to express yourself in a foreign language, number one. Like you want to speak Russian. So I noticed that when I was living in the States for 1 year, there were sometimes periods of time when I start talking to my American friends and they're looking at me like dogs. And I realize that I speak Russian to them. And I don't notice even the difference between English or Russian, so I continue. So like, okay, so what is it? Like, you are speaking Russian? Oh, sorry. Like, okay, and for me it was like missing home. Another sign that I was missing home was that you walk around and suddenly you see, oh, this is my neighbor. And of course it's not possible, right? Your neighbor cannot be there. But this is like recognizing features of your friends and some totally strange people. Social rules are hard to understand. Well, very often my American students ask me, because we do have an exchange program with the College of St. Scholastica, and for many years I have been involved in that and actually giving them this lecture on culture shock so that they would understand what is happening to them. They are asking me a lot of questions about why do you have to give in Russia the odd number of flowers to the girl? If you give her a dozen of roses, she's so angry. And she wants to kill. Okay, so because in Russia you bring the even number of flowers to the funeral, right? And but in other countries it's okay to bring dozens and whatever. Some other rules, like why do you have to take off your shoes and put those slippers? Who you don't know was wearing them before, right? And so, well, a lot of things, right? Why do you have to finish all the food? What is given to you? Why some of my American students were complaining that we were visiting somebody and there the woman was putting us salads on our plates and giving us food, as if I cannot get the food myself. And as if, well, why she must impose on me the quantity of food I am going to eat? I want to take as much as I want. I said, like, this is Russian hospitality. Sometimes Russian killing hospitality, because if we're friends with you, we'll friend you forever till your death, like honestly. So, and then you start noticing the differences. Before you were euphoric, then you start, okay, no, it's very different from what we have in our country. Well, I don't know, like if I like it or not, so, but you start noticing that. As our friends from hot countries like Jordan, some other countries, they're usually joking that living here in Karelia, they don't have any other season but winter. But we have 2 winters, one green winter, which is 3 months long, and then 9 months of white winter. So for many people, it makes sense. And of course, you start feeling what our speaker in the first part was talking about, depressed, irritated, and I'm not going to stop on that. It was enough of depression in the first part. So the stage of rejection, what is happening? This is it, like what annoys you. They speak this language there. Like it can be any language. When I was in Egypt for 3 weeks, as a visitor, not in the hotel. It was really, well, for me it was interesting. 3 weeks, not a long period of time, and I have traveled before different countries, so I'm more experienced in this. But everybody is speaking Arabic, which you don't understand, and which you try to figure out some words, and then finally, okay, a safe word is what, like shukran, salam alaikum, and halas. So, yeah, you know, right? Okay. Halas means enough. Right, and whatever, so something like this. And but it can be frustrating, definitely. Then food. I'm not picky about the food, and I'm okay with any food. But for example, my American travelers, I was working also as a cruise director, they were constantly complaining about Russian food. They wanted pizza, they wanted something else, and whatever. So why they don't cook American food? Okay, because you are in Russia. Okay, if I go to America, I never ask for Russian food. Like I know that they would not give it to me, or they will give something what is not Russian at all. Like sweet mayonnaise. Have you heard about that? Sweet herring, sweet salty herring. That's nice, exactly. All right, another thing is more challenging, like no family, no friends, or sometimes even familiar faces. Of course, now, due to technologies, we are advanced in Skyping, or like other messengers, so that is easier, right, at least to see the face. Before, like when you corresponded by mail, regular mail, that would be really hard. And then as Lisa was having her card of her friend, like you would have photographs of your family, looking at them, maybe like wiping a tear or two for that, so, but anyway. And then feeling tired, always. You don't want to study, you don't want to go anywhere, so all Russian or any other country friends who are so enthusiastic inviting you to go here and there, and you say like, I don't want to, I'm just tired, and you want to sleep a lot. And what is more upsetting, it is the inability to solve any really simple problems. And here I can ask our foreign students, you remember when you first came to Russia and you had to pay for your education? And you had to go to the bank and you had to do something, and if you live in the dormitory you need to wash, to do your laundry, and you have to go to accountant office to pay for this laundromat and whatever. So a lot of things, like you have to go there, you have to do that, you need a stamp there, you need such a document, and it was like, where to go? Like, and people do not take care, actually, so they know, they tell you what you have to do, and this is all your responsibility. Thanks God if you have got somebody who can help you through it, but it can be really difficult. Like if you are renting an apartment, to call a plumber if something happens, to do something else. For me, when I was living in the States for 1 year, it was also a little bit problematic despite of the language, because you have just to know how the services work, right? And I had to ask my friends to help me with that, like where I call, like what the phone numbers and whatever. But if you want to survive, you will survive, right? As you see, I survived anyway. So, and it also can result in avoiding other people, being angry, irritable, not wanting to communicate. But then, it's a short period, by the way, then comes a beautiful stage of acceptance, which is always good as in any relations as well. So you are able to cope with reality. You know what bus to take. You know where to get off. You know where to buy, I don't know, grocery. You know where the pharmacy is, right? You know everything, absolutely, right? You know disco places, you know bowling place, you know where some people, sorry, I don't consider it a propaganda, but Arabic people like to smoke shisha, right? And they found all the shisha places here in Karelia, so they can smoke all this. So, and you finally accepting all these cultural differences, you suddenly realize why you are here, like to study Russian or to study medicine. So suddenly you understand your great goal. Like I came here for an exchange, I came here to find a wife, I came here, I don't know what, to irritate Russians, okay, so whatever. So like, and you do what you want to do. So, and life, yes, it is still different, but not strange anymore, so which is nice. So, you see, depression is changed and replaced with optimism, you feel more secure here, and you know, life is different, but not annoying. So, adaptation stage, so you are still ahead of that, right? So, you feel at home, you know everything, nothing irritates you, you know how to do things. everything what is happening here makes sense. You start even admiring some things of this country, how wisely they arrange this or that, any other country, and you're not upset about that. And you realize that you would like to spend more time here or to come again. So I remember when I was taking a group of Russian professionals to America for 3 weeks. And first, I experienced all the stages with them. So first, they were, of course, very much excited about the hospitality. Then suddenly, they started missing home, their families. They were adult people. And then suddenly, another stage of, I would call it like paranoia came. They were saying like, do you think this coordinator of ours speaks Russian? I said, no, he doesn't. Because he's always overhearing. Maybe he's a spy. I said, well, even if he is, you're medical professionals. What kind of secret information you can tell them? How to cut out appendicitis? How to treat the, I don't know, the headache or whatever. So like, stop doing that. And then suddenly, just 3-5 days before we have to go back, I don't want to leave because there is a good contact with hosting family, a lot of fun. And actually, I would say like when you're visiting, when you're a guest for a short time, it's kind of like being a child again, because you don't have to care about many things. Everything is taken care of. You just have to be at the presentations, to make presentations yourself, but you are fed, you are entertained, you have got a bed to sleep, so not a problem, honestly. Okay, then you come back to your country. This is a special picture for my Jordan friend. I think you will like it. So, reversed culture shock. You come back to your place, and suddenly you start experiencing the same things about your own culture. So you cannot accept what is there, what was known for you, but now it's changed. You have changed. I remember American students, male students by the way, crying at the train station when we were saying goodbye to them after a month in Russia. And they wanted to come back. Some people do come back. Some people came back to get Russian girls with them, so not to miss Russia too much, right? And so, well, international marriages, I think it's the best way to have peace on this planet, because you cannot kill your relatives, right? Well, some relatives probably must be killed, but not everybody. So anyway, so you will start experiencing all of this. And I wanted also to, well, this is especially like for the target audience of foreign students, that a quote for understanding Russians. There are 2 ways to understand when the man is lying. One is when he says he can't drink champagne. Jenny is impressed with what I'm saying, right? All night and not get drunk. And the other one, he says that he understands Russian. So I think sometimes that I don't understand Russians myself, being a Russian. Exactly, right. But we have a best explanation ever for this. We say Russians have a mysterious Russian soul. This is it, like, okay, who can solve the mystery? Nobody, like, anyway. And I wanted also to touch upon a little bit on stereotypes and myths, and I have chosen 2 pictures demonstrating stereotypes about Russians and about Americans. Well, because for me, it's easier to compare with American style of life, as I have been to that country many times, about 25 probably, and total time lived there, so maybe it will come to 2 years, so I know what I'm speaking about. And as you know, like bears, balalaika, drunken men, dancing, so this is still a stereotype. So unfortunate in the 21st century, but it does exist. And we sometimes, maybe sometimes according to what Zadornov was making in his comical sketches, that Americans are fat, dumb, and ugly, right, and whatever, so which is not true. So you agree with this? Oh, come on. No, you mean you agree with stereotype, right? Okay. Well, but not, well, you know, well, sorry, I will deviate a little bit from the subject if you allow me. There is a parable. One man was traveling from city A to city B. He decided to leave his city forever. And he is coming and he meets a woman on the road who was sitting near the road, an old wise woman. He asks her, excuse me, do you know people who live in the city B? She said, yes, I do know them. And he said, like, can you tell me more about them? Because I'm moving to that city. She says, like, and what were the people like in the city A, which you left? They were cowards, they were thieves, they were liars. And she says to him, well, you know, you'll find such people in city B too. And there is another man coming from city B to city A with the same question. He asks the same woman, and she said, like, can you tell me about the people whom you left? And he says, like, they were wonderful people. They were friends. They were great. They were generous. She said, you will find such people in the city A. So this is it. What you are looking for, you will find. If you're looking for trouble, you will find the trouble. If you're looking for friendship, you will find friendship. And so on, like, to be continued, right? So, but anyway, I wanted to focus on the following. In any culture, it will work. If we look at differences, and if we look at the similarities, we'll see the following. We can have different political, educational, social system, medical systems. We can have different food. We can have different living conditions. Somebody lives in the palace and it's a norm in his country or her country. Some people live in the apartment buildings, right, or dormitories. And behavior and conversation styles can also be different. For example, some people who live in the South, like Italians, they like to gesticulate a lot. They like, well, Mexicans like to touch you when they are talking to you, so like touching culture. So Americans like, okay, so like distance, right, should be observed. Like Russians are different. If they're friends with you, so they can also hug you, touch you, and whatever, or they will keep a distance, so kind of adaptable here. It can be different, but what is alike? This is more important. Values. We do have the same values. You value love. You love friendship, freedom, good jobs, good salary, good welfare, so to be continued again. Family, of course. You have got the same hopes, dreams, and wishes. So because who doesn't want to be successful in this life? Like only masochistic people want to be losers, right? Okay, so and to suffer from that. Though there are people like that, so killjoys. So you have got the same attitudes to the main things in our life. Again, like to love, to friendship. Nobody wants toxic friends, right? Everybody wants good, long-lasting relationship. It doesn't matter what kind of country you are. And we are human. Like both of our cultures or more cultures are human. And nothing human is alien to us, so we can have our ups and downs as well. But how to cope with all this? Like how not to have a very severe culture shock? You have to observe, to listen, to learn, right? You have to show respect and leave stereotypes aside, preconceived ideas as well. Can I ask foreign students what your acquaintances were telling you before when you said, okay, I'm going to Russia, to Karelia to study? So you said that, right? Like, okay, so,
yeah,
yes?
I would admit a lot of the Russians I know, there are quite a few Russians in London, did say why PetrSU. That was confusing for them. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, the main reputation is the weather.
The weather,
Yeah,
okay, well, good.
And the politics stuff, but that's boring.
God bless your British heart, like for this weather. So what about you? Yeah, like did anyone say anything? Exactly. Okay. We're still figuring out what it is, honestly, living here. Yeah, but very often people were saying, like at least my American students were sharing with me that their relatives were like, why are you going to Russia? It's a dangerous place and so on and so on. There is a lot of objection, and sometimes even Russian students who have studied abroad, I spotted some people who have been on exchange programs. I believe that your relatives, maybe not all of them welcome this idea. They were like, why are you going so far? You will be away from Mars, living in a foreign country and so on. And because you have to be, like, you know, it's like chicken coop, like you have to sit with your mother chicken, mother hen, and just like be always under your mother's wing, like don't go anywhere, so be okay, right? So what you have to know, that you have to be aware of this culture shock. And if you feel something, what I was describing about rejection stage or about this depression thing, you should understand that it is normal and nothing bad is happening to you. And what you have to know that it will pass. It will go away, well, sooner or later, but you will cope with that. So, but it is normal because some people start being depressed because they don't know why they feel like that. So, and this is it, like culture shock. Okay, and you can analyze the situations, but without criticizing. Yeah, try to understand. If you don't understand completely, ask a person whom you trust in this country to give you an explanation, right? Usually, when you are good friends, friends will be honest with you. And they will not telling you that, oh, you know, like PetrSU is a paradise. Like, no, they will tell you honestly, like, what is here what is good here, what is bad here, and like what to do. So what you have to do is just enjoy your experience. So keep your eyes, keep your mind open, which is more important even. Feel free to ask if you're unsure about something, and expect life to be different. It's a different country. And I want to tell you what culture shock I had when the first time I came to America. Because in America, everybody was asking about culture shock. It was, the first trip was 1993. Some of you were not even born, right? Yeah, so we do have different age groups here presenting. So, and for me, it was a very difficult question to answer, because being a student of foreign languages department and then a professor, we know a lot about the culture of America or Britain because we study it, right? But I found a very good answer to say, I said, like, you know, my culture shock I experienced when I stepped on the scales and I saw the weight. In America, they measure the weight in pounds. We in kilograms, right? 1 kilogram is 2.5 pounds. So can you imagine, like when I looked and I saw the number, like it was a culture shock. So I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like, and immediately I felt like a balloon. So, but then again, another thing, so I developed another saying like, okay, everybody says to you, keep in shape, I am in shape, round is my shape. So that's not a problem, and round is the perfect thing. So this is it, and thank you for your attention.